Carlyle doing the ALS Icebox Challenge, nominated by James. Thank you very much. And I would like to nominate Emily Gibby.
I just realized that you are getting horribly robbed. You are a handsome guy, and that Rumplestiltskin makeup is really scary. How long does it take to put all that on?
It takes about 2 hours just so to get it on, and it takes about an hour to get it off, which is a problem.
What about the costumes? Do you enjoy that?
Another interesting thing about the costume is, you know, the boots that I wear, the sort of lace-ups? 20 minutes just for the boots. I stand there with a cigarette while I dress. How long is this going to take? Then the nails go on in the eyes and I can't move. So the all-powerful Rumplestiltskin can't actually move around very well.
What drew you to the character of Rumplestiltskin?
Great writing, easy as that. It's wonderfully written. First scene that I seen in the pilot, I thought, well, if this thing doesn't happen, I fancy playing that scene anyway. So I was there, and again, the guys were giving me the opportunity to go where I wanted to go with that. You know, they really let me play. You know.
Do you have a preference between playing fantasy world and the real world? Do you like one more than the other?
You know, to be honest with you, the character is. I think the character's the same person. You know what I mean? So I don't really think too much about, you know, one or the other. Of course, they're very different to look at. If I had to choose a favourite, I enjoy playing the more flourishy Rumple. I think that gives me a lot of fun.
Is there any like training that you did going into this? Did you
Oh yeah.
watch that kind of thing?
Yeah, this goes way back to my drama school days. In actual fact, the whole notion of Rumpelstiltskin comes from. I did a lot of mask work at drama school, and when you use masks, mask work takes you somewhere else in your head because you're not seeing any of your face, you're only seeing that. So that combined with the Italian farce, commedia dell'arte with mask work is very grand. I thought, well, that's where I want to go, and I needed another element in there just to kind of undercut that slightly. It's my 6-year-old son, because he's always walking around making this funny little voice, and I heard him one day and I went, that's Rumpelstiltskin, because he's like a child, you know. Yeah.
He's an evil child, though. He's evil. Do you enjoy that?
Is he?
That's debatable.
Is he?
Tina are kind of tied right now.
Oh, she's a...
Yeah. That one.
I think that, again, you have to go back to the origins of where they came from. Rumple didn't start off evil. Neither did the evil queen. Circumstances changed them. So maybe we'll go back to those moments more and more and try and get the heart of these characters. I don't think they're 100% good or evil.
Well, in the last episode, there was a game changer.
Aye.
Belle, we don't know what her name is here yet.
Aye.
How's that going to affect?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I've been absolutely blown away by the response in that episode. There's fan sites and stuff in there full of Skin Deep, Beauty and the Beast, Belle. It's incredible to read all this stuff. They want that. I think the writer's certainly going to put that back in again, and I'm sure we'll see gold. I think we'll see gold in Belle rather than Rumple in Belle.
We'll stay tuned. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Pleasure.
He's an addict, you know, he's an addict. He's addicted to the power. He's just addicted to this whole magical world. And it's very, very difficult for him to let that go. Even though he loves her, you know, he loves her more than anything. He loves the power also. So it's this kind of like two-way battle for him with both these things. The hat is, it steals magic, essentially. So anyone who has magic powers, it sucks them into the hat and stores all this stuff in. This is like a massive supercomputer of magic, I guess. And as Rumple puts it, in one handily portable device on your head and you're gone. So that's what it does. And each time a piece of magic goes in there, or a magical person goes in there, the whole person goes in, by the way, not just the magic, the whole person. And once they do, you know, like the sorceress hat has these little stars on it. Well, these little stars, another little star appears every time some extra magic goes in there. So it's very interesting the way they've done that, guys. Gold's duplicity in terms of the dagger is kind of coming back to haunt him already. And I think that the longer the season goes on, I think that'll become more and more of an issue. So far, Belle doesn't know, you know, what he's been up to. But I think that's in the post, and once she finds out, I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on that relationship, the most that there's ever been.
So I love the concept of this show. Can you kind of break it down so people can understand when they're first hearing about what the show is?
Well, Once Upon a Time has two distinct realities. You have Fairy Tale Land. And the Fairy Tale Land is populated by all the characters you've ever known and loved through your childhood. They are kind of juxtaposed by the real world, the village of Storybrooke. All of these fairy tale characters that you've seen in the past all now live in Storybrooke, but they don't know that they were fairy tale characters. They don't know who they are. For instance, I play Rumplestiltskin, who in the real world is Mr. Gold. He might know a little bit more than other people know, having said that. But most of them don't actually understand that this is where they come from, that their happy ending in the fairy tale land has been taken away from them. They've been put into this new world to live pretty much in misery.
What intrigued you the most about this type of show?
Well, I mean, first of all, it was the guys that wrote Lost. I thought that's interesting right away. What they managed to do with Lost was create this very, very odd world, and that's what I seen when I read the script. I thought that's exactly what we need here. Storybrooke cannot be kitchen sink. It can't jump from fantasy fairy tale to social realism. And it wasn't, so when I read the script I could see that it was pretty much off balance, Storybrooke. Everything was slightly off like that, and I thought, well, that's great. That means that the stuff that we're doing in the fairy tale land can go as far as we want, because it's not such a big clash when it gets to the other end. So that was the biggest thing for me. I thought, how is this going to work between Fairyland and Storybrooke? And I thought, this is going to work extremely well. Strangely enough, Rumpelstiltskin was probably the first thing I ever seen. And that sounds very strange. I was about 6 years old at the time, I think, in Glasgow, and this travelling theatre group came around, and they did a version of Rumpelstiltskin, and I always remember this character. I didn't know that at that time, this name, Rumpelstiltskin. Even the name itself was fascinating to me. And I was absolutely taken by this character. The guy who played Rumpelstiltskin was a small guy, a bit like me, he's a wee guy as well. And I was fascinated by this guy, and I was really kind of interested in his story. I didn't care about the king, didn't care about the daughter or the gold. It's like, what about him? Where does he come from? I knew he wasn't real at 6, but I'm thinking, where's the real one? Maybe there is a real one somewhere. So Rumpelstiltskin, in actual fact, was one of the earliest characters for me.
I think it's interesting for people to kind of see their childhood characters in this new light and kind of learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn from your storybook.
Yes. Well, that's what they're about, aren't they? I mean, all these fairy tale stories are, at their essence, they're cautionary tales, that were told. Very popular in the Victorian era. We don't tell them so much nowadays to our children, which I think is a shame, because if you take something like, for instance, Hansel and Gretel, it's a great cautionary tale. Don't take candy from strangers, don't go to their home. That in itself is enough to make you think twice about that, So all these, I think this is what these stories do for us. They tap back into a psyche of our childhood, and we feel safe in
A lot of revelations for Rumpelstiltskin, a new family member, so to speak. So how's that going to evolve for the rest of the season?
Oh God, it's really huge kind of ramifications about this now. That Henry, as the seer has said, there is the boy is going to be your undoing. So this is what's playing through Gold's head, all the time now. And whether that's true or not is a different thing. It might not be that boy. See, we always have to listen to the words in Once Upon a Time. But the moment that's the way we have to play it, that it is that boy. So what I can say without giving too much away is that Henry's in danger now. Anyone who's an enemy of Gold's in danger. So similarly, even though he's only a kid, he's in danger.
In your mind, what exemplifies a once upon a time moment?
Whoa, that's an interesting question. That is. I think taking you along a road, a well-trodden path that you think you know, and then suddenly taking a U-turn. I think that's what does it. Like for instance, I can talk personally my own character. Last season, it wasn't the fairy godmother who sent Cinderella to the ball, it was Rumpelstiltskin. So you think you know these stories, but they'll take them somewhere else. Similarly, in episode 16, coming up, The Miller's Daughter, with Rose McGowan, she plays the young Cora. He rather than, it's the whole thing about the Rumpelstiltskin story was, if you guess my name, I'll let you off with the deal. the very first scene that they play in The Miller's Daughter, he gives him the name. She says, "Why are you telling me your name?" He says, "Because you've earned it." And that brings them very, very close, closer than you can imagine.
I guess I started in this industry, I suppose, through chance, really. But it kind of traces itself back to the early days. My father used to take me to the cinema 3-4 times a week, so I was always a kind of cinephile, you know. But theatre was something that was kind of like that. That was up there, if you can see that. That wasn't on the agenda at all. But I was introduced to this little community theatre group at the Glasgow Arts Centre. And within a couple of months I thought, I really like this. I like this a lot. And I left my job as a painter and decorator, and I dedicated all the time that I had to drama. So I spent a couple of years at that drama community group, and then went on to drama school after that in 1983. The thing the one film probably that influenced, maybe not influenced, but impressed me the most as a kid was The Magnificent Seven. I loved it. And the reason for that is going to the cinema, you know, 3-4 times a week. I was obviously going with my father, and my father was a Western junkie. He loved anything to do with the West, he loved it. So I seen all the Westerns of the 60s probably, and the late 50s too. And The Magnificent Seven for me was so honourable. And what they were doing was such a good thing. And Yul Brynner, that started my love affair with Yul Brynner. I thought, I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that comes out of the darkness, solves people's problems, and rides off into the sunset. I loved that. So that was when in my early years. And then later on, you know, I mean, talking really early years, I was probably 7 or 8, maybe early teenager, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Again, for the same reasons. I thought, that's honourable. I like what these guys are about. I guess what I would say to anyone who had an intention to starting out in this business, any young would-be actor, is not to get confused with an actor and fame, you know, because I certainly never went into this because I wanted to be famous, you know. It would cross your mind, of course. I mean, you watch the Oscars and things like that and you think that would be great, but that was never the intention. The intention, by the time I was ready to start to act, was about self-discovery, really, and self-exploration. And I would say the biggest bit of advice I would give to any youngster would be, if, you know, really, really think about why you want to do it. Why you want to do it. And if that's the correct answer, right, and it ain't got anything to do with fame, then you've got to believe it. That's the next stage. Believe it, believe it, believe it. At the end of that, you will find your way. You might never become a star, you might never become a film actor, but you'll have a career in the business. And that's the best thing I can say. Well, the White Sands Missile Range in Alamogordo. Well, I mean, it's one of these places that you would, unless you were a military person, you would probably never ever go. So that was an experience in itself. I think it's 140 miles by 40 miles, and it's absolutely glorious. But when we got there was nothing at all could have prepared us for the heat. The hottest I've ever experienced, certainly in a filming day, we shot, it was 117 degrees. And that is as hot as you want to get at any point in your life. Interesting though, I mean, I spoke to Andy Makita about this before we went. I said it's important that the cast don't let the heat be the focus. The focus has to be the work itself, and let that kind of take you through. And from my own point of view, that worked pretty well. Rush, when they get to the desert planet, he kind of wants to get off of there pretty quickly. He doesn't want to hang around too much, so it was relatively easy to play that. No acting required, in fact, for that. The bounce from the sand is as extreme as the sun that's coming from the sky, and that's the thing that you had to be more than aware of. Sunblock everywhere, up inside the nostrils, inside the ears, everywhere, because this stuff bounces up and can burn you pretty badly. There's a story, in actual fact, about someone who was working on a job there, who was working with shorts, and everyone's wearing shorts. But the guy had went commando, shall we say, and he got pretty badly burned. In a very, very awkward place. He got taken away to the hospital, in fact. So everyone was warned about this. I mean, that was all the guys needed to hear. Sunblock all round, you know. And I've said to the producers, please, please, never take me off the Destiny ever again.
Hi again. Nice to see you again. All right, so obviously I'm with Once Upon a Fan. Thank you very much for your time, as always. The season ended with Rumplestiltskin, or Mr. Gold, rather, kind of rewriting history and getting his own alternate version of his happy ending. What did you think about that when you first saw that script?
To be honest, I don't know what to make of that, because it's so you're going along one particular path, and then suddenly it's like a fork in the road, and you think, well, I can go this way or that way, and you wonder which way Eddie and Adam are going to take it. So when it went that way, I thought it was interesting that every single person in the cast had been changed around. I thought that if it had only been Rumpelstiltskin himself, I don't know if that would have worked quite so much. But I liked the fact that every single person had a kind of alternate role to play.
Now, obviously, when the season ended, Rumple was left in a coma. We don't really know what's going to happen with him. Yeah. And I know that you guys just started filming this week, so you probably don't have very much information. No. But it seems like with him losing his dark powers, knowing him the way that we do, that he would be in pursuit of those to try and get them back. Do you have any feeling about if it might go that way?
Gold?
Gold, yes, sorry.
Yeah. I don't think you're far wrong there. I don't think it's going to be... You know, it's back to what I've said time and time again about this guy. He's addicted to this thing. So, you know, I don't think he's going to give it up anytime soon. I think that the guy's idea is to try and kind of put him on the right path and then probably knock him off again. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what happens with Gold. I think for that, I'm looking forward to this season. I'm probably looking forward to this season even more than the other ones, because I think this is there's a real journey this time. You know, always has been, but this time there's even more of a journey, because he's kind of lost everything. Right. So does he get it back or not?
Do you think there's any possibility that he might take the new Dark Swan under his wing, so to speak, and maybe give her any guidance in trying to deal with her new magic?
You've been reading the scripts, haven't you? That's a possibility, shall we say. I mean, the thing is that anyone knows, especially Once Upon a Fan, know the stuff so well, that Rumpelstiltskin's always in the middle of everything. Right. You know, so it'll be no surprise if he's in the middle of this as well. I would say that the whole idea of the Dark Swan thing and have becoming the Dark One, I don't think it's as obvious as it seems. I think that there's more to it than that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, as always.
Nice to talk
Thank
to you.
Who was your favorite Disney character growing up and why?
Dopey of the Seven Dwarfs, because I remember seeing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That's the first one I remember seeing. I was no more than 5-year-old perhaps, and I absolutely loved it. Never ever forgot.
Yeah, and that continues obviously in season 3. He's off to try and find Henry, and you know the seer prophecy was that the boy would be his undoing. Since in his mind, Bay's dead now, so I think he figures that his life is pretty much over. So at the beginning of season 3 is a kind of dangerous time for Gold Rumple, because he's going off to die. That's a good question. I genuinely don't know, but even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. That's why it's a good question. Good questions you can't answer, you see. Well, she does make an appearance in Neverland, but not in the way that you think. In typical, the way the guys write it is in a typical fashion. It's not at all the way you expect it to be, but they do meet in Neverland, I can say that. No, I think he's always got a reason for what he does, you know. That's what makes the character very interesting, I think. That he's not just wholly evil or wholly good. He kind of sits right in the middle. And that's what I love to be, that's what I love to play as an actor at all times. No matter what part I'm playing, whatever show, you always want to kind of be somewhere in the middle.
Once a coward, then the Dark One. Where do we stand now?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, I genuinely don't know. We've got one script out of 22. And at this point, I mean, what I would say is that anyone who knows anything about this show knows that Rumpelstiltskin's generally always in the middle of everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's not at the middle of this as well. That I think the notion of him no longer being the Dark One, I think, is maybe a bit premature. I genuinely don't think so. I don't think that's the thing for Gold, for Rumpel. He's such a probably the most complex character in the piece that he kind of, it's very difficult to pin him down anyway at all. So I think he will continue to remain slippy. And I don't think that the suit of armour kind of one. I don't think he's ever going to reach that. I really don't. I would love to see that. Personally, I would love to see at the end of all of this that they become Belle and him are together in some other kind of reality. But I don't know whether it's going to be in Fairy Tale Land in armour.
Now he lost his power and he becomes a man. Do you think there's going to be a loss, like a vacuum to him of who he was for so long?
See, the thing is, the way that Adam and Eddie write this stuff, we don't know whether that's true or not. And I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't the case. I think with Gold, I think he's lost a bit, but he'll get it back.
Let me ask you this, did you enjoy riding the horse last season?
Yeah, I've done a bit of horse riding in some movies and stuff in the past. It's always fun, that, actually. You don't act anymore, you're just terrified of it falling off.
He is no longer the Dark One. Kind of in a coma.
Right?
I'm pretty sure that happened. But he went through...
I think you might be surprised.
Oh, really? I think he still has...
Things have never the way they seem. The way Eddie and Adam write seems this way. You'll need to wait and see.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And he went on quite the journey with the villains this season and looking for his own happiness. What was your proudest thing? How do you feel Rumpel did in season 4 and kind of moving along the path?
Not very well in terms of trying to be a good guy. The thing is, he's the problem with Rumpelstiltskin is that I've said this before, he's a junkie. He's a junkie for the power and the magic and stuff, and he can't let it go. He's just addicted to that. He's an addict. It's very, very difficult. Anyone that's ever been addicted to anything will tell you that. To let it go is the most difficult thing. So even though I think he means better, but I don't think he'll ever reach that. I really don't. I could be wrong.
He tries, just not always.
He tries. He's got a lot of love in him. He loves Belle. Of course he does, but he loves the magic more.